The L Word, the episode that changed everything. There are episodes of television people remember. And then there are episodes that quietly change everything. Not because they shock you in the moment, not because they rely on twists or cliffhangers, but because once they're over, nothing feels the same again. For the L Word, that moment came with Dana Fairbanks. And to understand why that moment mattered, you have to understand who Dana was before anything ever went wrong. Dana wasn't the center of chaos. She wasn't driving the drama. She wasn't demanding attention in every scene. She was something far more subtle. She was balance. In a show built on intensity, emotional conflict, and complicated relationships, Dana brought something rare: lightness. She brought awkward humor, sincerity, and a kind of grounded presence that made everything around her feel more real. She didn't feel exaggerated. She didn't feel written for effect. She felt like someone you knew. And that matters, because when a character feels real, what happens to them doesn't stay on the screen. It follows you. It lingers. Now think about the group dynamic. Every group has that one person, the one who softens everything, the one who makes heavy moments feel manageable, the one who, without trying, keeps everyone connected. Dana was that person. She made the group feel whole, not just a collection of strong personalities, but something cohesive, something human. And once you remove that kind of energy, everything shifts. That's where this story really begins. Not with the loss itself, but with the absence that loss creates. Because absence is powerful. Sometimes more powerful than presence. Now let's talk about the diagnosis. The shift doesn't happen all at once. It doesn't arrive with dramatic music or a sudden tonal break. It starts quietly. Dana is diagnosed with cancer, and at first, the show resists changing too quickly. The familiar elements are still there. Jokes, conversations, small moments of connection. On the surface, it still feels like the same show. But underneath, something is different. There's tension now, a kind of quiet uncertainty. Because the story is no longer operating within the usual boundaries of television comfort, it's dealing with something unpredictable, something real, something that doesn't follow narrative rules, and the audience feels that shift, even if they can't fully articulate it yet. Because once illness enters a story, certainty disappears. The future is no longer guaranteed, outcomes are no longer predictable, and suddenly, the story has weight. Now let's talk about expectations. Television teaches you certain patterns. It teaches you to expect recovery, to expect resolution, to expect that the characters you care about will survive. Maybe they struggle. Maybe they fall apart first. Maybe they face a dramatic turning point. But in the end, they make it. That's the unspoken contract. That's what makes television feel safe. And this storyline breaks that contract completely. Because Dana doesn't recover, she dies. And that moment changes everything. Not just for the characters, but for the audience. Because now, you're not just watching a story unfold. You're experiencing loss. And loss doesn't resolve. It doesn't wrap itself up neatly. It doesn't give you closure when you want it. It lingers. It reshapes everything around it. And that's exactly what happens here. Now let's talk about Alice. Because this is where the emotional impact becomes undeniable. Alice doesn't process grief in a clean or structured way. She doesn't move on quickly. She doesn't find immediate clarity or peace. Her grief is messy. It's confusing. It's unpredictable. It interrupts her life in ways she can't control. And that's what makes it real. Because real grief doesn't follow a timeline. It doesn't behave. It doesn't wait for the right moment. It shows up when you least expect it. And the show allows that. It doesn't rush her through it. It doesn't simplify her emotions. It doesn't turn grief into a neat character arc. It lets her sit in it. And that's what makes it powerful. Because now the audience isn't just observing emotion from a distance, they're feeling it. Now zoom out. Because this isn't just about one character or one storyline. The entire group shifts. Grief spreads, quietly, subtly, but undeniably. It changes how people interact. It changes how they communicate. It changes what they avoid saying. The emotional tone of the show becomes heavier, more fragile, less certain. And that feeling doesn't fade quickly. It stays. That's what makes this moment different from most television turning points. The show doesn't reset. It evolves. And once that evolution happens, there's no going back. Now here's something people don't always talk about. This moment doesn't just change the characters, it changes how you watch the show. Before this, there's an underlying sense of safety, even in the chaos, even in the drama. You believe, on some level, that things will work out. After this, that belief disappears. Now every moment feels more temporary. Every relationship feels more fragile. Every interaction carries a little more weight. Because you've seen what can happen. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now let's talk about risk. Because this decision was risky. Dana was loved. She brought balance. She made the show more accessible, more relatable. Removing her wasn't just a narrative choice, it was a gamble. And for some viewers, it didn't work. It pushed them away. But for others, it did something more important. It made the show honest, more grounded, more human, more reflective of real life. Because real life doesn't always offer closure. It doesn't always give you time to prepare. And it doesn't always end the way you expect. This storyline embraced that truth. And that's why it resonated so deeply. Now step back and look at the bigger picture. Because this wasn't just about one episode. It was about what came after. The tone changed. The emotional weight stayed. The characters carried that loss forward. The show didn't forget. And that's what makes an episode truly defining. Not just the moment itself, but what it changes afterward. And that's why this episode still matters. Because it didn't just happen. It lingered. It reshaped the story. It reshaped the characters. And it reshaped the way the audience experienced everything that followed. And that's what makes it unforgettable. It changed the audience. It altered the way viewers experienced every scene that followed. It removed the illusion of safety and replaced it with something more fragile, more real. And in doing so, it turned a television show into something that felt closer to life itself. That's why this episode still matters. Not because it shocked people, not because it was unexpected, but because it stayed. It lingered in the characters, in the story, and in the audience long after it ended. And that kind of impact, the kind that reshapes everything that comes after, is what makes an episode unforgettable. You're no longer just watching characters navigate drama. You're watching people exist in a world where loss is real and permanent. What makes this even more significant is the risk behind the decision. Dana was a beloved character. She brought balance, relatability, and accessibility to the show. Removing her could have easily alienated viewers, and for some, it did. But it also pushed the series into a space that felt more honest, more grounded, more reflective of real life. Because real life doesn't always offer closure. It doesn't guarantee recovery. It doesn't protect the people we care about just because they're important to us. And by embracing that reality, the L Word created something that resonates long after the episode ends. That's what defines a truly transformative episode. It's not just about what happens in that hour. It's about what changes afterward. The tone shifts. The emotional stakes rise. The way you engage with the story evolves. And once that shift happens, there's no going back to what it was before. Dana's death didn't just impact the characters.